But yeah, I think like setting expectations for myself, I'm very easygoing on myself. Like if I'm like, oh, like I need to clean the house this week or something, and then I don't, I'm like, oh, well, you know, it's okay. You'll do it next week or like something
Which is
like
funny because
that.
I feel like when we were together, the expectation for me to do all of that was different. Was it not?
I think that I'm like the expectations that I set on myself, I feel like I'm better at.
Because you get to be lazy and give yourself easier, more
that I do
actionable items to work on.
I don't know. But
because I had to do laundry, I had to do the dishes, I had to cook, I had to work, I had to take the dogs out, I had to cut the lawn, I had to vacuum the couches, I had to dust the baseboards. No. I'm just kidding. You weren't like a slave driver. That just made you sound really bad. But I feel like the expectations that you put on people, and I'm saying that from a friend standpoint and from a partner standpoint, are a little unachievable sometimes.
I don't agree with that.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to Raw and Unsolicited with me, Ryan.
And me, Andrew.
Today, we're going to talk about everyone's favorite topic.
Oh, my God.
I'm just kidding.
Yell at me for that.
Yeah, you're the one that said that's why I was saying it. I was being funny. No, we're going to talk about expectations.
Expectations.
Correct.
Of?
Everything. Like dating, friends, family, why we create them, how we create them, what they are.
This sounds stupid. No, I'm just kidding. You just say that about all of my shit. Every time I say something, you're like, this is stupid. So,
it's just because I'm uneducated about a lot. That's all.
All right. Well, let's see how educated you are around expectations.
I'm real educated about them because I'm creating all these expectations myself. So I know expectations more than anybody.
So do you feel like you create unrealistic expectations?
I wouldn't say that I create unrealistic expectations, but the more that people don't meet them, whether they be friends or family or suitors, I start to begin to think that they're what's the word? Unreachable? Unrealistic, sorry. I was like potato. I start to think that they are, but then I'm like, no, they're not. This is what I want. These are somewhat non-negotiable sometimes. But I think a lot of the times, when I create these expectations, I'm comparing them to what I would do. And there's no one that's going to be like me. Like no one's going to treat me as well as I treat myself or treat me as well as I treat them.
Right.
And I can't expect that of other people. So that's where I think that maybe I am creating unrealistic expectations. But I feel like for certain parts of let's start with expectations of our friends.
So, well, first, I want to say something. So
I didn't ask.
You always forget about me.
I didn't ask.
So I think that it's important to have expectations. But I think it's only important to have a certain amount of expectation. Does that make sense? I feel like sometimes people have all of these expectations. It's okay to have one or two expectations when they're clear, concise, and the other person knows about them and is willing to meet them and can meet them. But I think that a lot of us create these expectations in our head that we don't communicate, that we don't hold, whether it be ourselves to that expectation as well, where a lot of people are very hypocritical, where it's oh, I expect blah, 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 whether it's friend, family, whatever, I expect them to meet this expectation.
But they're not doing it.
But you don't expect yourself to meet that exptation.
I feel like your expectations should be at a level that you're willing to get to at the same time.
Right.
You should not have, that's also an unrealistic. You think a lot of people have that?
Yeah. I think a lot of people have lots of unrealistic expectations.
I would never expect something from someone, even with my staff, that I'm not, and that I would never ask them to even do it if I'm not willing to do it myself either.
Right.
That's how I've led the business for years. I'm not going to be hey, mop that toilet if I'm not willing to mop that fucking toilet.
Right. And I agree with that for the most part. I'm definitely the same way. But I think that there's some things every once in a while. So let me give you an example. So let's pretend there was a snake in the toilet.
That's different. You're completely terrified
I would be like, can somebody please
But
do
I
that? Like,
think-
and I would set that, like, I need you to do this because I physically can't.
But at the end of the
You know what I
day,
mean?
if all of your staff were more terrified of it, I really think you would do it, or
Absolutely
you would
the fuck
hire
not.
someone else from
Correct.
outside of the business.
Correct. Correct.
But you're setting the expectation at the same time. It's not unrealistic.
And I
you
think,
can't expect someone to put them in a position that is completely gut wrenching and terrifying to them.
right. But I'll give you another example. So let's say that you had some sort of like, or let's say I had some sort of like medical thing that prevented me from doing something. So like, let's say I couldn't climb a ladder and something requires a ladder climbing every single day. Like, I would set an expectation of like, listen, I can't do this. So I do expect that you're able to do this to pick that up. So like, I do think that there's some one-offs, like definitely not an all the time thing, but I think that there are some one-off situations.
Yeah, but as long as
That
you're
create-
clearly communicating
Correct.
that expectation with that person, whether it be staff, family, whatever.
Right.
Hey, listen, this week my doctor told me to be on light duty, no ladders.
Right.
Can you guys pick up the slack for this week? Like that.
Or like if, you know, you had
So you should probably go into work tomorrow and tell your staff, God forbid there's ever a snake in the toilet. If there's ever a snake in the toilet, one of you have to get it, please.
no, that is something that I would definitely hire somebody for. I would call somebody.
Did you see that video that was on TikTok?
No, I did not, and I don't want to know. If it's a snake, I don't want to know. I don't care.
It was literally looking up out of the toilet at her, coiled in like a.
I flipped through something and I saw something like that, like someone was going over to a
Yes,
toilet, and I saw
it was
that.
probably the
And I was
same
like,
one.
absolutely not, and I
Uh-huh.
completely just moved. Like,
I don't
I'm
mind
like,
snakes, but that still
Mm-mm.
terrified
Nope.
me even.
Nope, nope,
Imagine
nope.
sitting. And she was so stressed about it because she didn't know. She had just peed. She had just peed on the snake. Which I think it could have been a fake video, but like I was still cringing.
I would die.
She's like, I just peed on it. I just peed. She kept saying like the same thing over and over, and there was a snake just staring up at her.
I would die.
Yeah.
So I know that you already started this, but I'm gonna backtrack and I'm gonna say no. Why don't we start with expectations of ourselves?
That's good because we often forget about ourselves.
Right. So do you feel like you set good expectations for yourself?
I think I set unrealistic expectations for myself.
Okay. Elaborate.
I think I expect a lot more of myself and like
Like you overwork yourself? Is that kind of what
kind
like
of
what you mean?
and I try to take on too much because I think I'm fucking invincible, and I know that I'm not because I get to that point every time where I'm like, I need a fucking mental health day, or I'm just going to call it. I've never called out of work yet, but I'm like, I can't do work today. And I like, I don't know. I've always done that where I've always given myself too much or taken on too much, but it's part of being a Capricorn. It's like, I'm very ambitious. I'm overly ambitious, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So my expectations for myself are often too high. But I don't think I want to change that. That's who I've been, like, grown and molded myself.
Do you feel
to
like
be.
you ever let yourself down?
Once in a while, but like, I realize I try to find out where the expectation was it too high, and how I let myself down, I guess I would say, and I don't do it again, or I do it differently, or find a way to reach, because I have to reach that goal. I always do. I have to. It's like no other way about it. Like, I have to do what I'm doing. That's why I'm finally doing a pod. Like, I have to. When I put my mind to something, it's happening. I'm manifesting it, and I'm going to make it happen with or without other people.
Mhm.
It's just who I've always been. I don't care. What about your expectations for yourself? Look, I did it. I asked you about yourself.
I feel like I set very realistic expectations for myself. I feel like overall, like over encompassing of any relationship I have, whether it be with myself or with other people, I feel like I'm pretty empathetic and understanding when it comes to a lot of things. Sometimes to a fault, even. Sometimes, like, I'm like, okay, like, I understand, like, why that happened, and, like, I kind of make excuses for other people sometimes.
So you do it for yourself too?
I do, for sure. I like, a prime example for you would be, like, going to the gym.
I was just gonna be. See, I didn't want to say because I thought you were going to think I was being shady.
No. So like if you would have said it to me, I probably would have.
Because I know you want to do it, but you don't do it as much as you could, and I feel like you are making excuses.
Yeah, I mean, I think like so. I don't know that I've ever actually set an expectation other than like I need to go to the gym and I want to go to the gym.
Mhm.
Like I've set the expectation of going to the gym.
And you
I've never put like I need to go 4 times a week. I need to go every day. I need to like I've never put like an act. So I don't think that I actually put like numbers on it. Like I'm not like, oh, I have to go 4 times a week or something like that. I just set like an overall expectation of like I need to go to the gym. So like, and maybe that's bad because like I'm like if I were to put a number on it, maybe it would hold myself more accountable to it. Like maybe I'm like too easy on myself in that aspect.
I don't think that would change. I think if you were to put it on social media or put it out there where people can hold you accountable, like in a weird way.
I
Like
don't
if
know.
you were like to text your stepmom, be like, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. And then she has that opportunity to follow up and check in. I think you're more realistically. That's how I am with certain expectations. I have to tell people about it. So I'm like, I'm going to fucking do it because I'm going to prove them fucking right.
Well, do you remember when I used to like any of like my big birthdays? Like I would set like a 1-year
5-year
goal
plan,
or a
yeah.
5-year plan or whatever, and I would make a list of
Then
things
you
that I
would
had
all
to
of
do.
them.
Right. I think that I do hold myself to those expectations when I'm committed to it, like when I actually do it. So like I think that by me not giving myself a specific is like
Why?
going easy on myself. Yeah.
So then change it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that might
What
be
are
a
your
good
things
idea.
for this year's birthday? Or you only do the big ones?
I only do the big ones, but I don't.
Are you about to be
feel like I
34?
did.
34?
Yeah,
this
I
year?
feel like I did one. I don't remember.
You
to be
should put
completely honest
something,
with
you should get a couple things out of the way before 35, at least.
We'll see. But yeah, I think like setting expectations for myself. I'm very easygoing on myself. Like if I'm like, oh, like I need to clean the house this week or something, and then I don't. I'm like, oh well, you know, it's okay. You'll do it next week, or like something
Which is
like
funny
that.
because I feel like when we were together, the expectation for me to do all of that was different. Was it not?
Correct. I think that I'm like the expectations that I set on myself. I feel like I'm better at
Because you get to be lazy and give yourself easier, more
that I do
actionable items to work on.
I don't know. But
Because
that's
I had to
that's
do
myself.
laundry, I had to do the dishes, I had to cook, I had to work, I had to take the dogs out, I had to cut the lawn, I had to
no,
vacuum the couches, I had to. dust the baseboards.
No.
I'm just kidding. You weren't like a slave driver. That just made you sound really bad. But I feel like the expectations that you put on people, and I'm saying that from a friend standpoint and from a partner standpoint, are a little unachievable sometimes.
I don't agree with that.
Because you said earlier you were what did you say? Realistic?
Mhm.
I think you're hard on people sometimes. Your staff, you should be. I am a big fan of being I'm not saying you are or not,
Right.
are not, but when I think of staff, I'm like, you have to be because they will just think they fucking rule the world and then you have to write them up, put them in their place and they just get out of hand and staff is tough to work with sometimes. But I think there needs to be like a give and take with expectations while communicating about it with your friends and your partners.
All right, so let's talk about friends. What are some expectations that you set for friendships? Does it differ between friendships?
friends?
Yes.
It depends. I would probably say yes, but I have a baseline of expectations for all of my friends. Like,
What is your baseline?
I just want you to reach out every time you think of me, even if it's just a hello. Like, I don't expect you to call me, chat with me. And I guess every time is a little unrealistic because I don't do that every time either. When I think of them, I'm like, oh. But I try to go out of my way that when I think of them to shoot them a text, say thinking of you, and I kind of move on from it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to create a conversation after that, I will. But I just want you to know that like I'm not going anywhere. Like that's why I kind of like touch base.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe sometimes my friendship expectation is a little higher when I'm also not at the. So maybe I don't do what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Now that we're talking about this, maybe my realistic.
So you are a hypocrite.
I've always been a hypocrite.
So we're learning this on like the
15th episode.
15th episode, right? Okay.
I've never denied being a hypocrite.
No, I know. Go ahead.
But I don't know. I just think I'm willing to do what I expect of my friends, but I notice that when it doesn't come, I pull back and lower my expectations. So I don't know that is a hypocrite. Because I'm pulling back my expectations.
So what are some of the baseline expectations that you have for friends?
We need to talk like once a month or text or something.
Okay.
Hang out as often as possible if you live nearby.
Okay.
Like maybe once a month, like if you're close, let's see each other all the time. You could never what?
I could never make that much time for my friends.
But why? What are you doing that is so busy? Like you always said, if you want to make the time for someone, you will.
I've always said that.
Yes.
I've never. I'm not going to say I've never said that. I've probably said that.
If you
but I
care
don't
enough
always
about someone,
say that.
You don't always say it. But you said multiple times that if you care enough or want to make the effort, you're going to.
I mean, sure, to an extent.
Is that with friends? Is that with partners? Like, where does that expectation sit?
I mean, I think that is for everybody, but that's not an expectation. That's like a thought. Like if you're going, like I feel like if people want to make the time, they're going to make the time. Like that is a true statement of anything. But it's not something that I always say.
I said multiple times. I corrected myself. I just can't, like, I can't make that much time for somebody. Like, I don't have that much time myself. Like, I don't have a lot of time. I work a full-time job. I go, like, which isn't, like, close necessarily. So there's the travel time in between. I don't work just a solid 8 hours. I usually work longer than that. So if I'm working one day, that's my whole fucking day. That's 5 whole fucking days a week. Plus the dog, like the beginning of work and then the end of work with the dogs.
Right. I have to get home to my dog. I have to, make sure that I have the time to take him out, feed him, do everything that he needs to do. So it's not like I'm done work, I can meet up with somebody. No, I have to go home first. I have to do whatever. And a lot of my friends don't live close to me. So it's not like it's an easy, quick, like couple blocks away or something like that. Like they're in other states, which granted, we're pretty close to that state. It's not like it's like so far, but it's not close.
But at the same time, I still think when you want to, you make the time for them.
Yeah. But also like if I'm off, I'm usually doctor's appointments, podcast recording, like there's so many concerts and shows and other things that I have. I'm traveling a lot this year. So there are things that are getting in the way. Yeah. There are things that are getting in the way of me being able to hang out with my friends as frequently as I would like. Yes, I would love to see my friends every fucking day. Like, yeah, I would love to hang out with them once a month as frequently as possible. But in reality, it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're all, and I give that same leeway to my friends. Like, I don't get upset with my friends because they can't see me or they don't hang out with me. Like, I understand that people have full-time jobs, kids, families, boyfriends, girlfriends, other things going on in their life. Like, I don't get upset with people because they don't make time for me.
Do you think people do get upset with people that, like, they feel like they're not being made? Like,
yes. I've had people say it to me before. Like,
friends?
I've had friends that have gotten mad at me before because it's like, well, you don't make time for me, or I don't see you, or, blah, 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 whatever. Like, or like maybe I had to cancel something because of, something. Like,
whenever I have a free moment, I'm texting every one of my friends, probably the same thing. Like, hey, want to grab lunch? I have a moment. Or like, it's the same with dating. Remember the last episode we were talking about, like, hey, I could probably see you between 4 and 5 on next one. That's right. I do the same thing with my friends. But my friends come before like these random dates that I'm like want to go on. I could squeeze like
I would say
I'm still talking. I could squeeze a drink date in like at 9 or 10 o'clock after work.
Right. I mean, I would agree with a friendship versus a rando in the whatever, but if I'm in a relationship, I'm going to prioritize my relationship over my friendship.
Absolutely.
Honestly, like just straightforward.
But I also
and a lot of
people, mash them all together.
I'm still talking.
Oh, there you go.
But a lot of people get mad about that. They're like, oh, I've been your friend for 12 years. Now you're in a relationship. Now whatever. Like,
I think every friend has been there with
Right.
their newest boyfriend and their friend. And then they
But, like, with
realize
a-
that their friends aren't going anywhere because you always break up.
Well, not always, but like with a relationship, I think it's easier because it's like, come sleep over my house. Like we can just
With a
cuddle on
friend?
the couch. No, with a relationship, I'm
That's
saying.
why I was like, what?
Like in a relationship, it's easier to make time because it's not like a friendship. It's not like you're hanging out in your bedroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you could.
you could, but, like I had a friend, like we literally would just sit on the couch and half the time we weren't even talking to each other. We're just fucking flipping through TikTok and then we'll send TikToks to each other while we're sitting right there.
That's a lot of relationships nowadays, sadly.
Yeah, but like that's one-off situations. That's not like what a friendship usually is. A friendship is you're going out, you're doing something, whatever. Like that takes more time and energy and planning. When you're in a relationship, you can wake up with each other, you know, you can just hang out like and pretty much do nothing but just lay on the
Yeah.
couch together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's easier to make time when you're in a relationship.
Especially if you live together.
Well, yeah. Or not even live together, but like stay at each other's houses
Yeah.
or
Because you're mainly
You know.
just hanging out for sex in the beginning.
sure. But like that's what I've always done like with my the last few people that I've dated and stuff. It's like, all right, well, I'll come sleep at your house for the next 2 nights. Like you come sleep at my house over the weekend. Like, you know, there's a lot of that where it's like we get the time to hang out, but it's like around other things.
Yeah. Got it.
So what other expectations do you set for your friends?
I don't think I have that many, actually.
Me, you ask. So expectations that
I did ask you, didn't I, earlier?
You did not. No.
Oh.
You asked me about the expectations I set for myself, and you were so proud of that.
That was such a good one that you like thought to ask, because I don't ever think about I'm very selfish, but I don't think about myself. It's weird. It doesn't make sense, but I'm selfish, but I don't think.
About myself.
Is that what I'm trying to say? I think
That's not what
I'm
you're trying to
saying.
say. That is what you're saying. but
I
that's
don't
not what-
fucking know.
Yeah.
Back to you.
When do you ever know?
Don't be mean to me.
So expectations that I set on my friends. Honestly, I think the biggest expectation that I do set on my friends, and I actually get upset about because I do get let down a lot, is stick to the plans.
Girl.
Like, I feel like we just talked about with friends, it's so hard to navigate because your schedule, my schedule, everything else in between, when you have to literally schedule a hangout and then you fucking bail, I
Or
get
if you
so
don't
annoyed.
like do
by
the
it.
whole hangout the whole way it was planned. I get frustrated with that too. Like if you have a night of things planned and it just doesn't go the way it's supposed to, that kind of frustrates me too. If you get my drift.
Oh, I get your drift.
I'm so glad we got here. I've been dying to talk to you about this. I'm
ahead.
kidding. We're not
Go
gonna
ahead.
we're not doing this for the fans. Now that you know I want to talk about it, we'll talk about it.
No, talk about it now. Now
No.
the fans are dying.
I
to
know,
what
and
you're
we'll talk
talking
about it in season 2, episode 1.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm kidding.
Talk about
No, I just
Talk about it. No,
it was
I-
frustrating. It was so frustrating that we went. So we had a concert. Concert was great, and then we go to this after party thing, which was a fucking dud. And then it took us an hour to even attempt to get a drink? Not really. It felt like forever. So now I go downstairs, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm just actually gonna leave. And then you text me, I'm ready to go, and I'm like, I already left. And then I had to stand and wait for a fucking Uber in the middle of the city, all by myself. That wasn't the plan. We were supposed to go to the neighborhood, remember? And if you already wanted to leave, why didn't you leave? Were you mad that I had already left? So you're like, wow. Oh, you already left me?
Would you like me to tell you my side of the story now?
No.
Go ahead, continue.
No,
then.
because my expectation
Go
of
ahead.
the story is right.
Oh, is it?
It's not?
No.
So I was waiting at the bottom bar to get a drink. You walked in like all curmudgeonly because I think you're initially mad because you had to get tickets and I walked right in without you. I think you had a little bit of frustration about that. So that's where I think.
No. Not at all.
Okay. What was your frustration about for the night? I would love to know, because when we went upstairs, you're like, let's go upstairs. There's 4 bartenders. We'll get a quicker drink. The drink was just as long, and that is why I walked away, because that was some of the shittiest bar service I've ever experienced in my life. They had 1 bartender at that bottom bar. That girl had 15 seats and no one helping her. It was stupid. I get stuff is understaffed. I get it. Let me make my own drink. So then you come over. I'm like, well, I've been waiting for a while. You're like, well, let's go up. So we go upstairs.
You ready for my side of the story now?
No, because I'm still trying to get ahead of you. I'm trying to get ahead of you, so I'm right. But then I was like, we're waiting, and I was like being a cunt because you said it was going to be faster because there's so many more bartenders. And then you were pretty much you were a cunt, and I just walked away. Go ahead.
I'm letting you finish.
I think that's all I have.
With anything.
Hold on. And then I walked away. I did go to the bar downstairs again. I was like, I'm not waiting for a fucking drink. No, I can't. And I went outside. And then when I went outside, I leaned against the wall and I got your text that said, I want to go. Okay, right? Isn't that what you said to me?
Okay.
I'm ready to leave.
So this is my side of the story. Okay.
I'm glad you said your side and not what happened.
This is my side of the story, okay? So we go to a concert, which was great. Concert was lovely. Had a great time. However, you got wasted. You were obnoxiously wasted.
Those girls got me drunk.
You were obnoxiously wasted. You were way over the top. You were like fighting with me about the stupidest shit. You were getting like so annoyed and annoying about everything. So we're leaving, trying to get an Uber, and you're running off in different directions. You're doing your own thing. You're yelling at me because I'm like, can we go this way? And you're freaking out.
I'm a free spirit.
So you walk into a fucking bar. You just run across the street and walk into a bar and is like, I want to go to this bar. I've never been to this bar.
Milk Boy?
Yeah, which you went to yesterday, posted on your story.
I wanted to go, so I went back.
And that's why I commented with all the fucking laughing faces.
And that's why I went back, because you didn't let me go.
Correct, because that's not the plan. That's not what we were doing.
Okay, I get where you're going. So I broke the plan first. Go ahead.
So I come over and you're like, come in. They said that they know you. I'm like, what? You're like, they said that they know you. Come in. I'm like, I'm not fucking coming in. Let's go. So you come running out and we finally go. So then we finally get the Uber and you start like yelling at me in the Uber and like making comments about the Uber driver in front of him.
Okay.
Obnoxious. Over the top. No, not my vibe. Not what I'm comfortable with. So yes, that's why I'm very fucking annoyed at this moment in time. So then you're like, you say something about like going home. And I said, okay, go home then. Go the fuck home. Like, I don't care.
When?
You're like,
in Uber?
Yes. Or you're like, oh, like, I'll just get out. Like, you can go. Like, I don't need to go. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, I'll get back to that. So then we go to the place. I have to go get the tickets. You go in, you go to the bar. I come over, you're like, it's taking forever. I've been standing here for 15 minutes and I haven't been served. I said, there's more bartenders upstairs if you want to go upstairs. I never said that it was faster. I never said anything. We just had to go upstairs because that's where the event was. We needed to go up there. And I said, there's more bartenders upstairs. So we get in line. It was
also quadruple the amount of people.
Correct, which is why there's a lot of bartenders up there and not downstairs where there's not a lot of people. So we go upstairs. We're waiting for a drink. You're making all the fucking snarkiest comments.
Sure was.
Saying all kinds of stupid shit. You're like, oh, is it faster up here? I said, I never said that it was going to be faster. I said that there was more bartenders up here. And I looked you in the face and I said, am I wrong? Did I say what I said is accurate? Correct.
Can we also agree that you were not this completely calm?
Yes, the fuck I was.
Okay.
I was overly calm. Like I was aggravatedly calm on purpose. Okay. And you're just standing there and you're just making the snarkiest comments and you're like, fuck this, I'm going downstairs. Or no, I said a couple times, I said, why don't you just go downstairs and see if you can get drinks quicker? Go ahead, try it. No, this is what you wanted to do. You said it was quicker up here.
I was sticking to the plan.
No. Oh, now you are. So then finally you're like, fine, I'll go downstairs. So you went downstairs to get a drink, to get us drinks. I said, whoever gets drinks first, like, whatever. Cool.
I expected to have 2 drinks that night.
So I was waiting.
And I had none.
Waiting. So then I was annoyed. You had lots of drinks that night.
I meant at that bar. I meant there.
So then I was still waiting. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm so, like, at this point, I'm starting to get aggravated about the wait. I was already aggravated about everything else. But I texted you and I was like, I'm ready to go home. And you're like, I already left. Did you tell me that you left? So this part, you're like, oh, I already left. You must be mad because I didn't know you left. I didn't know until just then that you left. So then you're like, get me an Uber. The fuck? No, I'm not getting you an Uber. You're changing the plan. Yeah, weren't we supposed to? No, that's not what we were supposed to do. We talked about potentially going into the neighborhood afterward. That wasn't a yes or no. Either way about it, whether or not we left the venue or whether or not we left the neighborhood, we were both taking 2 separate Ubers to 2 separate places. There was no expectation of us both taking an Uber together home. That wasn't the expectation, at least in my mind. Whether or not that was communicated, maybe not. But besides,
it was not. If I could be clear, it was not.
So then you just keep saying snarky fucking shit. Get me an Uber. I'm glad you changed the plans. Well, I'm glad you made me blah, 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 blah. Okay, listen, at the end of the day, I owe you nothing. You owe me nothing. There is 0 expectation from any of this. You took me to the concert. I took you to the after party. Cool. We were having a great time. I don't owe you shit. I don't need to buy you shit. I don't need to take you anywhere. I don't need to do anything. So do not get that twisted.
I just wanted to ride home.
From who? I didn't drive.
An Uber.
So get a fucking Uber.
I did.
Cool. Love that for you.
Clearly the expectation that you set in your mind was for us to go separate, but if we were doing everything together, why would we go home separate when we live 4 blocks from each other?
Because you were also talking about you had work in the morning. You also said initially you might not even go to the neighborhood with me. You said, well, I'm already out, so I'll probably go, but maybe I won't.
But I said it.
Okay, but regardless, there was no anything.
There's no expectation.
Correct.
So we should have created clear expectations. By doing what?
Communicating. So I stayed there for like another maybe half hour or so. I got my 2 drinks. I drank my 2 drinks.
Bitch, I'm so mad you drank.
I stood there and I just watched a little bit, took a little video, posted it on my story, and then I went and got an Uber and went home myself.
My Uber on the way home was so nice too.
So was mine.
I think that's why I left. We just like talked and sang and had a
The
good
Uber?
time. Yeah. We had a good time in the Uber.
Oh, God.
So I guess I didn't need those 2 drinks. So that was the universe saying, girl, just get out of here.
Yeah.
And I'll thank the universe.
But yeah. Do not, as you should have already known
Not
very well in
direct
advance.
and demand. I know.
Correct.
But I was drunk and frustrated, so I don't really give a fuck. It's because there's
And this is why I don't like doing things with
Here's
you.
the thing. There's nothing to lose, so I can be mean and just say shitty stuff to you. You know what I'm saying?
You would do that when we were together and there was something to lose.
Would I?
Yes.
So I haven't changed. See, I'm consistent. I'm kidding. All right.
So anyway,
So
back to the expectations.
That's so funny. I'm glad we got there because I've been dying to just fucking lay into you.
So my expectations of my friends are to not cancel plans. I get it. Sometimes things really do come up, like, you know, I get it. But like, if we're planning something, please just follow through with it. Please.
Especially because we're like mapping our day out and like,
right.
Maybe I took off work or I'm leaving work earlier. I switched to have coverage
And that's how I always am. I always am planning in advance. I am a planner. I'm a deep planner. Like I have like every day off planned between now and November, pretty much.
Girl, I hear you.
So I am a deep planner. So like when I'm taking off, like I made sure that I was off that day so that we could do something. Like I made sure whatever. So like when it doesn't happen, I get super frustrated.
Do you communicate that with them? Or is it not worth it because like it just happens again and again?
It depends. Like I have a couple like really flaky friends that it's just kind of like expect it from them at this point, that it's just like it's pointless to even whatever. But usually in those scenarios I have backup plans anyway because I know how fucking
That's so
flaky they
funny.
are.
That's kind of funny actually.
But so it depends. So sometimes I'm like, oh, like, you know, this is really a letdown. Like, I'm really disappointed, like, whatever. But it depends on the circumstance. You know, if they're like, oh, I forgot, then I'm mad about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then I am, like, really disappointed and I usually say something. If it's like they're sick or their kid is sick or, you know, they got called into work or something like that, like, I'm a little bit more understanding, but I'm still let down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, I don't really think that I have like a lot of expectations from my friends other than that. Like I don't expect them to call me. I don't expect them to text me. I don't expect, you know, anything like that.
I mean, I like getting texts and texting my friends, letting them know I think about them.
I do feel like
Isn't it nice to like look over and be like, oh, Bob texted me. Oh, it is Bob. You were right. It's funny to look over like, oh, Bob texted me, and maybe it's Bob in my head because you said that, but regardless.
No, it's Bob.
And you're like, oh, that was nice. Like, thinking of you too. Hope all is well. Like, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love that. Like we talked about on the love language episode. Like I love words of affirmation. Like when I get them, I just don't expect them. I don't need them. Like it's great to hear from my friends, like unexpectedly, but like I don't have any expectation around that.
Yeah, I guess.
But I would say like I don't know that I have expectations, and I feel like the expectations have even dropped more in the last few years. But like around my birthday, like I feel like as a friend, you should like wish me a happy birthday, like reach out to me on my birthday, but like I feel like also like try to see me.
They should be planning a dinner or
like something,
a little part. Like there should. I love celebrating
like
people.
not even that, but like hey, like can we get together like one day this week? Like it doesn't even have to be like on my birthday. Like it doesn't have like I don't like parties. I don't like surprises. I don't like anything like that. Like I'm not expecting anything like that. But like hey, like we should get together, or like if I do plan something, if I'm like, oh, like, you know, I want to go to dinner or I want to go to a bar or I want to do something like that. Like at least attempt to try to go.
Are you doing a vacation for your birthday this year or something?
I hope so.
What do you mean you hope so? Well, you have like the whole week off or something?
I have like 2.5 weeks off.
You better do something fun.
I know I'm getting a tattoo. I am going somewhere like the first week, but like then I'm off like longer.
Where are you going?
New Orleans.
That's right.
But yeah, that would be my expectations of my friends. So what about, in your words, your suitor?
Suitors?
I don't know. Like, would you say suitor or would you say relationship? Or are they different? Are they the same?
I mean, they're a suitor when there's a couple of them and you're like talking to a few.
No. I'm just talking about the expectations. Like, are the expectations the same from a potential suitor as they are with a relationship?
Well, you're not going to be in a relationship if you can't be a good suitor.
Okay, so what are your expectations for there?
Communicate. Literally, I don't really ask for much in the very beginning of anything. Just be consistent. Consistency is really important for me.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking, and it could be like, you could text me once a day, I just need to know where the consistency is going to be, because it's really frustrating if I'm putting in all this work and then it's for nothing.
Yeah. I think that like I like the consistency piece too. Like that's what I look for. But like from a communication standpoint, I have zero expectations from a communication standpoint. Because again, like I am the furthest thing from a hypocrite and I can't be a hypocrite. So like I'm really bad with communication with like on dating apps or with people that like I'm just getting to know or something like that. Like I'm really bad with that. Like sometimes it goes days, sometimes it goes hours, like whatever the case may be. Like it's not a priority in my life until like we've built a little bit of a relationship, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I don't expect to be anybody's priority. Like sometimes people like hit me up on the apps and it might be like a couple days later and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I've been busy, I'm not on here, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, Tinder should not be your priority. And if Tinder is your priority, then I don't want to date you anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I literally respond that way and I'm like, dude, it's totally fine. Like I don't expect
You're already
to be the
going to let
priority.
them down.
Right.
That's the priority. You're already going to let them down.
Exactly. So
Do you think people are creating false expectations for us too?
yeah, totally. I think a lot of people have false expectations just in general. I think people expect people to talk a certain way, treat them a certain way, when like even linking things back to like love languages and stuff, like people have expectations of like, oh, like if you're off, I expect you to automatically want to hang out with me. Like, no, sometimes I just want to hang out with myself. You know what I mean?
That's my favorite person to hang out with.
Like, sometimes I literally just need, like, a fucking relaxation day where I don't fucking get up. Like, I don't move out of my bed. I don't move out of the couch or whatever the case may be.
Or just ping pong back and forth.
Right, exactly. Take a shower, maybe. Grab something to eat.
That's overrated.
I mean, I have to eat at some point during the day.
No, you don't. All right, so let's hear some more expectations you have.
I think, like, from a relationship is where, like, I think that I've had expectations in the past and I've been let down. And I think that as I'm growing older and as I'm experiencing different things, those expectations have evolved and have changed. And a lot of them have really gone away.
Gone away?
Yeah. Like, I feel like there are things that I would like and that I like enjoy, but I don't necessarily set them as an actual expectation. You know what I mean? I feel like when you put an expectation out there, it's setting yourself up to get disappointed.
Yeah.
So like, I try not to set too many expectations. My expectations in a relationship are communicate with me, be honest with me, be trustworthy, build trust with one another. Everything that we've talked about, like this whole season of fucking episodes, like it all links to the same thing, right? I expect you to communicate. I expect you to, any of that. Like it's all the same. What about you?
The same. That I have very little expectations now
Mm-hmm.
than I used to have. And like now I expect literally nothing. With dating and like relationships, I expect nothing, so I don't get disappointed because I was so consistently getting let down or like setting these expectations. I'm like, maybe they are wrong. Maybe it's me. I know it's not me. Like, I don't think my expectations are that high. I think people out there are just that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So that I was just like, I'm just going to get rid of any expectations. So when there is a good one, I'm like, holy shit, this is nice. So that's what I've done with dating.
Do you have any examples of times that maybe you did have an expectation, but you were let down? Or something like along those lines?
I'm sure I have hundreds. But again, I'm in front of the microphone, so my mind goes blank. No, I don't. I do, but I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I probably have a lot more as well, but a couple things, I feel like, in my last big relationship, the biggest letdown was kind of that expectation of us being monogamous and that not happening. So I was let down in that aspect.
And you just talked about that in the beginning, like the expectation was set.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely. I feel like for one, maybe two of my relationships, before, I think my partner had expectations that they were let down with, where like they wanted sex all the fucking time. and that was like an expectation where you were getting sex twice a day, and it's like, dude, like fucking relax. Like it's okay to like go a day without sex.
But you don't now. Aren't you like such a sex fiend now?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't really been in a relationship in a long time to really know. Like,
are you a sex fiend?
No.
You don't masturbate all the time?
I always did. That's besides
That's
the
also
point.
true. So
Sex and masturbation are two different things.
It's self-sex. No, it's not.
They're two different things. So in my partner's eyes, they are two different things. If they're not getting sex because I'm jerking off, that is two different things.
Jerk off on them or into their mouth. Like there's ways around that.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but like I mean, since years now, I haven't lived with anybody that I've dated or been in a relationship with. So it's not like we even could have sex every day. You know what I mean? Like we went days without seeing each other. So if there was an expectation around that, like there wasn't. Like we weren't meeting that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Me neither.
So
do you have any family expectations?
Nope.
No?
I think in my life, I've always been let down by family. So I don't think I've literally ever had expectation around family. I think anybody in my life, like, I just want them to, like me.
Just like me? Like that?
I mean, like, love me. Like, love me for who I am.
That's like the most pathetic expectation to have of
like, I feel
everybody.
Like if you are somebody in my life, like I would hope and I would expect that you like me. You know what I mean? Like why would you be in my life if you don't like me?
Then be more likable.
I don't need to be more likable. Like me for who I am.
People that you've had the same people around you for years.
Right.
So
if
clearly,
you don't like me, then why are you still here?
That's the same with me, I guess. If people have been around for long enough that they've either have no expectation of us anymore or they actually like us. Right?
Yeah. So what advice do you have around expectations?
Be realistic. Don't expect something you're not willing to do. That's like my biggest one is, but then as we talked a little bit, like, it's like maybe mine are a little higher than I think they should be, or maybe I am expecting more that I'm not willing to do, but I don't think that I am. But I feel like I had moments of worry that I was being a hypocrite yet again. But I don't think that I am, because I'm not asking something from anybody in my life that I'm not willing to do for them.
Yeah.
Whether it be friends, family, boyfriends, girlfriends, neighbors. Like, I'll take up your trash cans on vacation if you take mine up while I'm on vacation. Like, let's just all be good to each other. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's really not that hard.
I think my advice for people when it comes to expectations are, have a couple, right? Like have a couple expectations, but like don't be unrealistic with your expectations. Make sure that you communicate your expectations. Somebody cannot meet an expectation that they don't know is there.
But do you think some people do it as like a test to see if they're willing,
yes.
if they're ever going to get there?
Yes.
Which
and
seems
I think
exhausting.
that is exhausting and it's fucking stupid and it's immature.
You're like,
and
I'm just going to sit back and wait.
I hate when people do that. And I like, if somebody ever does that to me, I call them the fuck out on it and I get super annoyed by it. Like, don't fucking put an expectation out there. Like, how am I supposed to know what you expect unless you communicate it to me? Right? Mm-hmm. And if you communicate it to me, I can either try my damnedest to meet that expectation, or I can let you know straight up, listen,
it ain't happening.
It's not happening. I'm not going to be able to meet that expectation. But unless you communicate it, no one can meet it.
I think a lot of expectations are assumed too. Like, you're just like,
yeah. I mean, even when it comes to like monogamous behavior, you know what I mean? Like I'm the type of person, like if I start dating somebody, I do not expect or assume that anybody else is being monogamous until we literally have a conversation about that.
Yeah, we just talked about this a couple episodes ago.
Right. Like if you out there, if you fuck somebody and like you're like, oh yeah, I saw this person or I fucked this person or whatever, like I might feel some type of way, like internally, like, oh, like, I'm a little bit disappointed in that.
Expect them
like,
to tell you?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I would hope so. You know what I mean? Like, especially if we're sleeping together, like, I would hope that you tell me, like, if you're putting me at risk of something because you're sleeping with other people. You know what I mean? Like, I would hope in that aspect that people were, but I don't expect it. You know what I mean? Like I don't.
Yeah.
You know, and if I get to that point, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to say, listen, you know, where are we at? Like, you know, this is my thought. This is my expectation at this point. Like, I'm going to communicate what I want, and I hope that they're going to communicate what they want.
Do you have an expectation across the board? I just thought of one across the board. Friends,
Yes,
family.
that they like me. I already said that.
Oh, you did. Mine's just honesty.
Oh, yeah. I definitely.
Just be honest about everything.
I do
Whether
have
you
that.
like me or not.
I do have
Let's
that.
just be honest.
If somebody lies to me, like straight up lies to me, and I catch them in a lie, I have lost all respect for them. And there's a slight chance that they will still be in my life depending on what that relationship was. But you better believe that the relationship has changed at
Oh,
that point.
absolutely.
And like there's very little effort from my part at that point. I'm not putting any
Because
effort
now
in it.
you want them to really double back and double down and really earn you back.
Right. Like
No, I get it.
fix it. Either fix it or go by.
You did it. So yeah, you should be the one to fix it.
Exactly. But
So my advice is be honest and just think about your expectations, how realistic they are.
yep.
And think
So-
about yourself. Expect more from yourself or less if you're doing too much.
Yeah. And don't be a hypocrite when it comes to expectations. Don't expect anybody else to do something that you are not willing to do or able to do. But yeah.
And we expect we will see you guys on October 27th at our Halloween party at Naked at 212 Mill Street.
Bristol, Pennsylvania.
I always forget about that. I
Yeah.
feel like everybody's local.
212 Mill Street means nothing even if
I
you are
know.
local.
I know. Do they have those other
Yes.
places?
Mill Street. Yes.
Yeah.
I believe that there's a Mill Street in a lot of places. Absolutely.
Got it.
But
It'll be on our flyer. Listen to us.
yeah, make sure that you guys
On
keep up
socials.
with us on our social media throughout our hiatus. You know, there will probably be an episode here and there, like maybe some surprises, some surprise episodes, but for the most part, season 1 has come to an end.
I know you said hiatus and I got sad all of a sudden. I was like, no.
But we have enjoyed this journey and we are looking forward to season 2. Best believe there are going to be some big upgrades and changes.
If you guys have any ideas or expectations for us, let us know them.
There's going to be a lot of excitement in season 2. We're going to have some guests. We're going
I
to
have to share the spotlight with 2 people?
maybe more. Maybe
No,
lots.
I'm not
maybe
having
lots of
anybody
people.
else in this
We're going to
team.
have a whole group of people. We're going to do that.
Okay.
We're going to have some more video than we've been doing.
I think we're going to do some video on downtime during hiatus. It'll be fun.
Maybe. I mean, if I have to see you more often, maybe not.
Not any more than you do now.
Well, I know I see you too much as it is,
I
so
don't-
we need to
Once a
yes.
month is not too much.
Sure. But we really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for listening in season 1. We look forward to continuing our interactions during our hiatus. Like I said, look out for some exciting pop-up things throughout. We'll be doing some live events throughout. So keep an eye on our socials, and we will.
See you next season?
We can't say see you next
See you
Tuesday.
next season.
Yeah, how can we do another T? See you next time.
See you next. Ew, I hate that. See you next time.
Yeah, but it's still cunt.
See you next time.
See ya.